Hey guys, before we get to the video, I do want to thank my sponsor, me. This video is brought to you by Tyler Ramsby. I do want to let you guys know my intro to AWS Pentesting course is out now. You probably heard me talk about it, but it's 65 hands-on lessons. Even if you're brand new to AWS, you will be able to follow along. The course ends with 2 custom capstone challenges created by me based on things I see in the real world doing AWS pentesting. The course is only $20 for lifetime access right now, but the price is going up June 1st. So if you haven't purchased a course, make sure you do it now. I will drop a link for the course in the description. Other than that, enjoy this video about HackingHub. In this video, we are going to dive back into HackingHub. Now, this is a platform I've shown off a few different times, but it's an amazing platform. And one of the really cool things about it is all of the content is free, which is mind-blowing. The only exception is there's a few paid courses on the platform, but all of the hands-on labs or the hacking hubs are completely free. The hub that I want to showcase today is called RemoteBinge, and it's based on a real bug bounty that was found on Netflix. Now, if you're new to HackingHub, real quick TLDR how it works, HackingHub has different CTFs and different challenges, but all of them are based on real bug bounty and real security reports in the real world. So this isn't silly cryptography, things that you want to encounter in the real world. This is real hands-on bug bounty and security research that we get to work with. Also, if you can't tell by the people on chat, I am making this video while I'm live streaming. If you've never attended one of my live streams, this is where all the cool kids hang out. Make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications so when I go live, you are notified. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into HackingHub. Now, I already shared this. Everything I'm going to show you is completely free, and I'll turn chat back on. I realize you guys disappeared. There we go. Everything I'm going to show you is completely free, so you can make your own HackingHub account and you can follow along. Now, I do want to be transparent. I did go through this lab already ahead of time. Now, sometimes when I make these videos, actually most of the time when I make these videos, I go into it completely blind. I have no idea what to expect, and I spend half the time stumbling around. I did go through this lab ahead of time just when I was checking out HackingHub in a little more detail, and I love this lab because it is rather simple. It's an easy thing for a beginner to get started with, but it also shows you how that if you do good recon, you can make good money doing bug bounty and doing security research. Now, I don't do too much bug bounty. My biggest bug bounty was $2,000, but let's go ahead and dive into this one. So I'm here right on the HackingHub website under all, and we're going to check out RemoteBinge and exploit a Netflix-inspired remote command execution vulnerability to take control in this bug bounty theme hub. Now, one of the leaders of HackingHub is Nahamsek. You may have heard of him before. I have a meeting coming up soon with him and a few of the other founders of HackingHub to see if we can do some more formal partnerships. I'm going to have some vouchers to give away to their courses, which is awesome. But hey, I'll just be honest. Nahamsek probably did a better job in his video about this. In his video, I do recommend you check it out. He actually interviews the person who found this bug to get the background details on it, and then they walk through the lab. Now, I think I'll be able to teach through it well enough and that you'll learn a lot from both of our videos. So make sure you check out Nahamsek's video and check out my video, and I think you'll learn it from a few different perspectives. One from a bug bounty hunter, which is Nahamsek, and one from a pen tester, which is me. But once we are on here, you can see this. The person was able to make $5,000 from this bug that they found on Netflix. I'm going to click Launch Hub. And the hub that we're going to look at is actually really a direct replication of the bug that was found. Everything that I'm going to show you is the same thing that was in the real environment that this user or this bug bounty hunter was able to find on Netflix. So everything I'm going to show you is very much real world. Let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to open up Kaido. Now, if you've never heard of Kaido, Kaido is a web proxy audit kit. If you think of like Burp Suite, Kaido is similar, but written from the ground up in Rust. Now, the reason I showcase Kaido on so many of my streams is because it's much more affordable and accessible than Burp Suite. Now, I still use Burp Suite Pro for my day-to-day job as a pen tester, but Kaido, in my opinion, is way better than Burp Suite Community Edition. It doesn't rate limit you on random attacks, and honestly, the UI of Kaido is so much better. Chef's kiss compared to Burp Suite, and especially compared to OWASP's app. So let me go ahead and click Start on my Kaido instance. You can create your own free Kaido account to follow along. I already have HackingHub here pulled up. I'm going to create a new project. And we'll call this RemoteBinge, I think was the name of the hub, and we will do create. Now I'm gonna go over to Intercept here and just open up the built-in browser because I always forget to turn off the proxy when I use Foxy Proxy. We'll close out that certificate warning and we'll dive over to here. I'm gonna grab our scope, which is just gonna be our URL, and we will dive in. Does it have a free version? Yes. So Kaido has a free version that provides you almost all the features that you need. But here is roughly what the web page looked like when they found this on Netflix. It was I believe, a subdomain owned by Netflix. So it wasn't like on netflix.com, but it was a domain in target scope for the netflix.com public bug bounty, and they were able to find $5,000 here. But instead of just giving you all the answers, I want you to really think through this yourself. Imagine for a moment you are doing a bug bounty or you are doing a web app penetration test, and you come across this domain right here that says step into the action and accepts an email and a file upload and how we can create a wanted badge. What are some of the things that you would think through and some of the things that you would check? Now, what I really want you to do, legit, is I want you to pause this video and think through this. Maybe jot down a few notes, because you learn something by watching me. You learn a lot more by thinking through things yourself and just giving it a shot. So pause the video and think about what you would do. All right, hopefully you did that. Hopefully your video is on pause. The first thing to do is just use the application like a normal user. You can't really break something without understanding how it functions in the first place. So let's first just use this like a normal user. I'm gonna go ahead and use this email, tyler@kairosec.com. Kairosec is my LLC. There's nothing on there now, but I started an LLC with the release of my courses, just honestly so I can manage the finances a little bit better. And all the money that comes from my courses, I'm not touching. They're going into a big project I can't tell you guys about yet. But we'll use tyler@kairosec.com. And now we need to choose a file. So let's just choose a file. I don't even know what files I have. Let's first just create a file. I'm going to open up my terminal. I'm going to CD over to, not vulnlab, HackingHub, and we'll make a directory called RemoteBinge. We'll CD into RemoteBinge, and I'm going to go ahead and touch hello.txt just to make a random blank .txt file. And John Doe is correct. If you have a .edu email, you can get a pro version of Kaido for free. So you can check that out on their website. Anyways, let's try to upload this file and let's just see what happens. I'll go to HackingHub, RemoteBinge, hello.txt. I'm also going to turn on my intercept so I can see what this looks like when it goes through. And I'm going to click Create Wanted Badge. Now, over here on Kaido, we can see what the request is. I'm going to do Control-R on my keyboard to send this over to replay so we can quickly modify the request and see what happens. But you can see we just have a post request right here to the root directory. And we are specifying our file name of hello.txt. And we have our content type of text.plain. Of course, I'm not actually sending anything in here, but let's click send and see what happens. We'll scroll through and it says invalid file type, only GIF files are allowed. Well, that's interesting. So there's a few different things that we can do. If it says only GIF files are allowed, let's test this out. Let's first I'm going to say this is a text file for the lulz. For the fun of it, we'll add some content to our file. That should still fail. And you can see invalid file type, only GIF files are allowed. Now we can try to change .text to .gif. Maybe the application is checking the file extension. And if we just update the file extension, we might be able to bypass this file upload. We'll go ahead and click send. Scroll through. And it says invalid file type, only image GIF files are allowed. So that does not work. The other thing we do is update the content type, and I think it's image/GIF, but I'm not entirely sure. So let's go ahead and search for GIF. MIME type, I think, would be the correct thing, and it is image/GIF, so I was right for the MIME type. And that's the content type right here. Now, sometimes when you're doing a bug bounty or a pen test, you're able to update the content type, and you can actually bypass file upload restrictions that way. One fun real life story of this is I was able to make myself a little bit smaller so you guys can see the screen a little bit better. But on a real life web app pen test, I was able to do a similar file upload attack, and I was able to get a full web shell and get RCE on their Linux web server by doing a file upload bypass this way. So let's try changing the content type. We'll do image/GIF and hit send. Scroll through and it says invalid file format, only GIF images are allowed. So that still is not going to work for us. So then what options do we have? Well, we already checked the file name. We can say, hey, if we update the file name, that doesn't work. We can change that back to text. Updating the file name does not bypass the file restrictions we have here. We also know updating the content type does not bypass the file restrictions that we have here. But there's one more thing to always check when you're doing a file upload, and that is something called the magic bytes. Now, each file has magic bytes that come before the file name that often tells whatever's parsing the file, this is the file type that it actually is. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. If we just go over to Google, we can do GIF magic bytes. And look at this. We have file signatures here. Right from Wikipedia. I know your English teacher in high school said Wikipedia is not a trusted source, but I think it is. So a file signature is data used to identify or verify the content of a file. Such signatures are known as magic numbers or magic bytes and are usually appended at the beginning of the file. So potentially, whatever is parsing this on the back end is looking for the file signature or the magic byte. And if we make it look like it's a GIF, then maybe we can upload other file types and the application will think it's a GIF and allow us to upload it. So I'm going to do Control F and we'll just search for GIF and see if we can find it. And we have two of them. Now, I'll be honest with you, I do not know the difference. So let's just try the first one and then we'll try the second one. We'll go right over here to Kaido. I'm going to add that at the beginning of my file, GIF87A, and click send. And let's see what happens. Scroll down and we have invalid file type still. So let's try GIF89A. And we have invalid file type, only image GIF files are allowed. Now I'm pretty sure that was going to work, but I have an idea of why it may not be working. I think it's potential that our image is the issue. So I'm just going to do like hacker image, or not our image, our .text file. It might work better if we actually try to upload an image. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to grab one of these cool hacker images. We'll do right click, save image as, and we'll just say, I'm a hacker lol. I'm going to go out to Tyler and we'll go to We'll go to HackingHub, RemoteBinge right here, and drop in our JPEG. Let's try to upload this and then see if we get anything different. We'll do Tyler at Kairasek again. We'll go choose file. I am a hacker lol. We'll go over to Kaido. We'll turn on intercept. We'll click create wanted badge. Control R to send it over to replay. And now we have this image sent in here. What if we add, first I'm going to click send. Seems like A and B indicate the GIF version. You're probably right, a random guy. It's actually a good call. But you can see that this image doesn't work. Let's jump back over to this. What if I grab GIF89A and put it at the beginning of this? Like so. I get invalid file type again. What if I drop it down? And I still get invalid file type. At this point in time, to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what I am doing wrong here. I think this is the way to bypass it, but it might not be. Now, the one thing I do want to show you is this is how you do bug bounty, and this is how you do web app pen testing as well. You just continue to experiment to see if you can figure out what is going on and how you might be able to bypass it. Now, I told you before, I did do this lab ahead of time, and I thought this is the way I did it, but maybe I did something a little bit different. So let's continue diving in and see if we can figure this out together. Okay, so what I realized I was missing is I need to change the content type and add the magic byte. I could have swore when I went through this the first time I didn't have to do that, but I must be misremembering. But I did show you that. When you're doing a file upload, you want to test this right here, changing the extension and changing the content type. In this case, in order to bypass the file upload restriction, we need to add both the magic bytes and change the content type. So if I change this content type to GIF with the magic byte in the beginning, we can click send. When we do that, you can see we get, hey, your badge is ready, and we even get a direct link to the file upload. Now I'm curious, what if we jump back to our text file right here and do the same thing? Will it also work here? We're going to do image GIF and click send. Does this one work? Scroll down and it does. You can see your badge is ready. View it here, API temp hello.txt. Now here's the question. We have a file upload bypass and we're able to view the file. What can we do from here to really demonstrate impact? Because if we're doing bug bounty or web app pen test, you can't just say, yo, I can upload .txt files, get pwned, right? What's the worst thing that we can do? Well, the worst thing that we can do is figure out how we can get remote code execution via something like a PHP web shell. So let's give that a shot. If we go over to our handy dandy Google right here, and we just type PHP web shell, I'm sure there's a few different ones that we can choose from. We can grab this first one right here. Maybe. And this is just taking our value, PHP. It's going to give us a little like web form it looks like, and we can execute commands. Let's give that a shot. So I'm going to replace my text information with this, and I'm going to change it from hello.txt to hacksmarter.php. Like so. All of that looks good to me, and we will click send. And there we go. View it right here. So let's grab this. And yes, I will answer the Netflix questions and the realism question in just a moment. Let me turn off queuing, jump back over to this, and give this a shot. You can see I messed up the freaking URL because I'm a genius. There we go. And if we do who am I? Execute, we have full RCE now on the underlying web server, and you're able to get the flag. I think it's at ls root directory, and I'll let you get the flag.txt. I'm not going to show you the flag right here on stream, but let me answer some of these questions that you guys are asking because they are valid questions. Let me scroll back up. A random guy said, are you seriously telling me that this was on a Netflix subdomain? Yes, and I recommend checking out Nahamsek's video where he interviews the bug bounty hunter who found this. But a big part of bug bounty, at least to be good at it, is reconnaissance, doing recon and finding all of the different subdomains that might be in scope that the organization maybe isn't as aware of or doesn't know about the security implications of it. So they did not find this on netflix.com, but they did find it on a subdomain that was in scope for, I think it was the HackerOne program for Netflix. And what I just showed you is the exact vulnerability they exploited. They changed the content type and they added the magic bytes, and it worked. Now, I will be the first to admit that this isn't the most common thing. I have seen it one time doing web app pen testing. It was a little bit different, and it was a Java web app, but similar file upload bypass that allowed me to upload a .jsp file to give myself a full web shell on the client's infrastructure. So it's not unheard of. But what I can say from when I did it on the web app, I did it to a application that has been pen tested, I think, for 8 or 9 years in a row, and every single pen tester missed the file upload leading to a web shell. And I think the reason they missed it is everyone assumes, well, this won't work. They assume that this is this classic like CTF file upload bypass. Surely it's protected against that. So people sometimes don't try the simple things. At least from my experience. I can't speak for this bug on Netflix as I didn't find it, but I can say from my experience, people often overlook the simple things, and that's why you don't find it. Another bug bounty story for you. My largest bug bounty was $2,000. It should have been more. Essentially, I could have taken over any user, including admins, on a massive website. I was able to dump their MFA reset token, so even if they had MFA enabled, I could take over their account, but I had full account take over any account that I wanted. It wasn't super technical. This is what I did. I logged into the application and I just looked at every single request in Kaido or Burp Suite. I don't remember which one I used, but I looked at every single request. I sent every request to repeater and I clicked send, and I just looked at the output of the request. One of the requests was revealing a little bit too much information about the users, just a very simple thing that other people overlooked, and I was able to then use that to target any user I wanted to do full account takeover. So from my experience, when it comes to bug bounty or even good finds on a real pen test, sometimes it's as simple as keeping it simple. You may think this would never work. You would be surprised. I find early disclosures, which means an early disclosure on a pen test means this is such a urgent issue that you need to patch this right now, because someone could go on the internet and pwn you right now if they find this. I find early disclosures on pen tests probably at least once a month of issues like this on real infrastructure out in the real world when I'm doing a pen test. So it's not unheard of, but a lot of people overlook checking it because they don't think they'll actually come across it in a real bug bounty or in a real pen test. But hey, for those of you watching this video after the fact on YouTube, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. A shout out to Nahamsek, Adam, the whole team over at HackingHub for an incredible platform. And make sure you guys make a free account and go through this on your own. You learn something by watching me. You learn more by doing it on yourself. And then finally, just for the algorithm, if you can like, subscribe, leave a comment in this video, I would love to hear from you. But thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.